Okay. Yes, John Brimore Hughes.
I'll nominate Gwynfor Owen.
Okay, thank you for that.
Dim diolch.
Gwynfor. Austin, you've got your hand up. Is that seconding? Yep, I've got a nod off there. Gwynfor, are you happy to accept the position?
Dim diolch.
Okay, diolch. Anybody else nominated? No, I haven't got any hands up. Okay, well, I'll move to the next item and we'll sort it out for the next meeting. Thank you. Okay, so we're on to the minutes of the last meeting. So for accuracy first, okay, I'll go page by page. So page 2, page 3, page 4, page 5, page 6, page 7, page 8. Can I have that those are accurate? Can I have a proposer that those are accurate? Yes, thank you, Jeff. Seconder for that. Thank you, Tina. You got your hand up just in time. Okay, matters arising from those minutes. Does anybody have any matters arising? No. Okay, I've got a few questions. Point 9, there's concerns regarding the interest rates going forward. Has there been any change on our borrowing and interest rates since those minutes? No. Any concerns?
No, we're still monitoring the situation. We expected the autumn budget in November, which might change things, and that will be fed into the budget scrutiny meetings.
Okay, brilliant. And
Sorry,
I've got
Chair, if I might come in as well, really. I think by way of assurance to members, the vast majority of our borrowing is fixed borrowing, so it becomes very relevant to us when that borrowing comes to fruition. Also, by way of assurance, we do have a very small reserve on our balance sheet that can be used in the short term to smooth any impact of increased borrowing. So it is something we're looking at very closely with our Treasury management advisors.
Okay, thank you. And moving on, I've got a question for 10.2. You confirmed that there was a dashboard and key performance indicators moving forward, and these have yet to be decided. Has any progress been made on that?
I'll take this one. So it's work in progress. So we utilize in Technology One, who's our financial ledger company, and we're using some consultant time to streamline the dashboards to make it as easy as possible. So we've got an interim solution in terms of Excel, which we take to the Finance Procurement Committee, but we're hoping to take that into Tech One, so it's a live position that budget holders can access and see. So still work in progress, but we've got an interim Excel dashboard.
Okay. Anybody else got any questions regarding the minutes? No, everybody a bit quiet this morning, Monday morning. I've got another question then, 11.3. It's regarding the Budget Scrutiny Working Group. Have we established everybody's attendance for that now? I noticed we were short of members originally. Has everybody signed up from each authority now? Got members?
Sorry, Chair, I think we're still missing a member from Wrexham.
Okay, all right. Lovely. So if we can have a work on that in the meantime. Okay, moving on. Right. From the minutes, can I have a proposer that those... We've done the proposer in the seconder for the accuracy, and there's no matters arising from that I can see anybody's hands up. Okay, moving on from that, the minutes, we've got number 6, which is the Welsh Government consultation regarding governance arrangements for fire and rescue services in Wales. And it's the Chief that's giving that report.
Thank you very much, Chair. I'm presenting it rather than the clerk, because probably I work closer with Welsh Government. and therefore I can give some of the background to this. The introductory paper that you have in your pack was actually produced before the consultation was published, because it has been delayed by a few weeks, but it is finally here, and I hope members have had the time to work through that paper. The introductory paper that I have here has two recommendations, which I will come back to again and repeat at the end. But one is to note the fact that the consultation is open and that we need to provide a response from the Fire Authority by the 24th of October. And also it is to invite members to two workshops that we intend to have. We're going to have one in person, which is going to be on the 29th of September. And I think that workshop will be really sort of key for us to get under the detail that's in this consultation. But if members can't attend that, we are going to have an online workshop on the 2nd of October. Just by way of background, so some 30 years ago, the two existing fire and rescue authorities in North Wales, the Gwynedd and the Clwyd one, were amalgamated to form North Wales Fire and Rescue Service. And how they were brought together legally was by means of a combination order. And in that combination order, it sets out the governance arrangements, it sets out the fire authority and the funding arrangements. And in many ways, it was quite simplistic. It was a case of there are going to be, at that time, 6 counties within North Wales, and they will all contribute to the funding of their fire and rescue service. And they will do it on the basis of the population in each county. And they will also have membership based on the numbers of population as well, which is why we have slightly more members from Flintshire than we do from Anglesey. So, as I say, that's been in existence for 30 years. And those of you who have had a longer relationship with the Fire Authority will be able to cast your minds back to 2018. And at that time, there was a belief that it is probably time to change the governance arrangements. And in fact, a white paper was created which went through some of the arguments that you see in this consultation paper. And it set out a new way of organising the governance arrangements and the funding and the performance management of the 3 fire and rescue services in Wales. Now, I don't really know what prompted that at that point in time. It could have been because the proposed reorganisation of local authorities had faltered a year or two before that. And it might have been believed that it would be easier to change the governance arrangements of the fire services, given that there was only 3 in Wales. However, this came out as a consultation, a white paper, and again, there was workshops and there was response. And in the end, it was decided that the governance arrangements would stay the same, but there would be further work done looking at the funding and also the performance management of fire and rescue services. As we all know, 2020 came and so did COVID. So that work was never undertaken. Let's fast forward to 2024. And as we all know, in that year, Welsh Government intervened in South Wales Fire and Rescue Service because of their concerns around the culture and the governance arrangements. And they removed the South Wales Fire Authority and they put in its place as an interim measure for commissioners. The commissioners have undertaken their work, and we're now looking to the future. So when those commissioners are withdrawn, what should replace them? Should we go back to the existing model of a fire authority in its same size and structure? Or should we look to a different model in the future? And I guess that's what this consultation is all about. So realistically, as we all know, there are elections coming upon us in May. So there is no room or time to be able to change primary legislation. So any changes that are in this consultation paper are actually within the gift of the combination orders. So these are changes that can be done under the same secondary legislation. At the workshop, we will work through each of the categories. So we will look to the potential governance arrangements. We will look at how funding arrangements might change. And we will also look around the inspection regime and performance management. And I think, members recognise that there might need to be a change, but what would that change look like? And we need your views at that time in order to be able to submit a response from the Fire Authority. I'm happy to take any initial comments that anyone might have, Chair. But as I say, the recommendations are actually to notice that we've now got the consultation out there and to encourage members to take part in the workshops, preferably the in-person one at the end of September. But if not, if you can attend the online one on the 2nd of October, and then we can put that response together. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Chief, for that update. Do we have any questions, comments? Yes, John Brinmore.
Yeah, good morning. Is this like another attempt to make it one authority throughout the whole of Wales, like the ambulance service?
I was anticipating to see that within the consultation paper because it is one option. However, that would require primary legislation, and there is not time before the next election to bring that primary legislation in. So you will see that in the consultation paper, it doesn't mention one fire and rescue service for the whole of Wales. That doesn't mean that after the next election, that might not be on the agenda. But for now, and in this consultation paper, no, there are still 3 fire and rescue services in Wales. But thank you for the question, because it's the sort of thing that everybody wants to know about.
Thank you for that.
Okay, thank you, John. Are there any more questions? No hands up. I'll ask a question then. It's regarding funding, and it's the funding that the police issue is a different matter to what we get. Is there are they putting forward something similar where it doesn't rely so much on the political pressure to be, to interfere with the current council tax regime?
I think, I know Helen wants to come in and talk about precepting. So I'll let her talk about the technical nature of precepting, and then I'll explain why it doesn't appear in the consultation document.
Okay, thank you. Helen?
I think actually David came in ahead of me, so if David wants to go first, and I'll pick it up afterwards, if that's all right.
Okay, David?
No, you go ahead, Helen. Go ahead.
Lovely. I think it is generally accepted that precepting would provide that transparency that I think everybody would welcome. I think similar to the one service for the whole of Wales, it will require separate legislation, and within the current timescales, there isn't an opportunity for that. What I was going to highlight is that my understanding is the Section 151 officers from all of the constituent local authorities are meeting later this month, and David, myself and Elgan will be meeting with them to ensure that we consider this collectively from a financial point of view to ensure that all of the options proposed are fully worked through. both in terms of the strengths and the weaknesses, because the default for us is very much around having the transparency in the funding mechanism and having the governance where it needs to sit. So putting the challenge with those people who are charged with governance. So I think there's quite a lot of work to do, and it's such a pivotal part of the consultation that we need to work through that.
Okay, thank you for that, Helen. David, you want to add to that? Or...
Yeah, thanks. I was going to come in just before your question, Chair, and I think funding will be part of the. You're quite right to focus on that aspect of this consultation, and it could have advantages, but there could be some threats in there as well, as proposed models could take us to a similar place as the national park is in, which has a mixture of grant and levy, but they don't have any power over their levy. They don't have a power over the amount of their budget. It's just a factor of the grant. So that could put us in a very difficult and different position in a couple of years. But we'll say more about that in the 2 meetings which the Chief has mentioned, I think. The other aspect, of course, is yourselves as members could be quite changed by this consultation in due course as well. That some people in government are very much wedded to the sort of cabinet type approach, and we could go down to 1 member from each authority rather than the 4, 5 or 6 we have now. But again, we'll speak more on that in the 2 meetings we have lined up for you.
Okay, thank you for that, David. Helen, is that a legacy hand? You've got your hand up still? Okay, has anybody else got any questions or comments regarding this? Yes, Chief, if you want to carry on.
Yeah, Helen's mentioned that she's meeting with the Section 151 officers, and I think it's very telling that our councils are going to submit their opinion through their Section 151 officers. So there is no intention to put a separate representation around the governance or indeed the politics of this. So to me, that would indicate that they were more thinking of this in financial terms than actually around with any concerns around the governance of their fire and rescue services. But I will continue to talk with them over this next month, because I think rather than just focusing on the finance, they need to look at the whole of the consultation.
Okay, thank you for that. Well, if there aren't any more questions, I can't see any more hands up. I thank you for that report, and I think we'll move on to the next item. Thank you very much. The next item is the Treasury Management Update, and I believe Elgin's giving that report. Is that correct?
Thank you very much about that, Pawb. I'll take this one in Welsh. Pwrpas adroddiad heddiw i rhoi gwybodaeth I aelodau am weithgaredd rheoli trysorlus ar gyfer y chwarter cyntaf. Mae'r awdurdod yn parhau gyda ffurfio a cod ymarfer sutfa a rheoli trysorlus, ac ar I chi awdurdod gymeradwyo strategaeth rheoli ar gyfer y flwyddyn 2025-26 ym mis Ebrill. Gan bod yr awdurdod yn benthyg a buddsoddi swmiau sylweddol drwy'r flwyddyn ariannol, mae'n angenrheidiol I ni adrodd ar y perfformiad perthnasol. Mae paragraff 5 yn y papur yn cynhoi sefyllfa yn y chwarter, ble mae lefelau benthyca a buddsoddi ar awdurdod o fewn y terfynau osod. Ni chafwyd unrhyw diffyg dalu gan fanciau gan mae'r awdurdod wedi adnu arian.
Sorry, Elgin, if you can slow down for the interpreter, please. She's having problems keeping up.
So, sorry, can I just cut across, Chair?
Yes, certainly, Gwynfor.
Elgin's mic is also, as a translator, I hate to be able to translate Elgin at the moment because his microphone is so unclear, and it makes it difficult to follow him Welsh or English, whichever language.
I'll try and speak a bit slow. Is that Dyn well, Gwynfor?
Diolch, Elgin.
2 seconds just to check my audio.
There you go. So is that better? Yeah, apologies, just coming from the laptop and not the headset. Do you want me to start from the start? Where were we up to? The translation.
From the start, please.
Yeah, there you go. Diolch, Steve. Pwrpas o adroddiad heddiw yw rhoi gwybodaeth I aelodau am weithgaredd rheoli trysorlus ar gyfer y cyfnod cyntaf Ebrill 2025 hyd at 10 o Fehefin 2025. Mae'r awdurdod yn parhau gydymffurfio â cod ymarfer SIPFA a rheoli trysorlus, ac ar ei chi'r awdurdod gymrydwyo strategaeth rheoli trysorlus ar gyfer y flwyddyn 2025-26 ym mis Ebrill. Gan bod yr awdurdod yn benthyg a busoddiau symiau sylweddol drwy'r blwyddyn ariannol, mae'n anenrheidiol i ni adrodd ar y perfformiad perthnasol. Mae paragraff 5 yn cynhoi y sefyllfa am y chwarter, fe mae lefelau benthyca a busoddi'r awdurdod o fewn y terfynau a osod yn wreiddiol. Ni chafyd unrhyw ddiffyg dalig a fanciau lle mae'r awdurdod wedi adneu arian. Mae'r awdurdod yn monitro risgau ariannol yn barhaus gan gynnwys colli arian a newid cyfaddau llwg, a mae'r strategaeth yn canolbwyntio ar risg isel a hyblygrwydd. Mae chwyddiant y Deyrnas Unedig wedi cynyddu dros y chwarter, ond disgwylir I cyfaddau llwg ostwn ymhellach yn ystod y flwyddyn. Ar 10 o Fehefin flwyddyn yma, roedd benthygiadau net o awdurdod yn 19 miliwn. Mae'r benthygiadau net yn is na'r gyfyniad ariannu cyfalaf, sef CFR, sy'n danos rheolaeth gadarn ar y gyllid cyfalaf. Mae'r awdurdod yn busoddi arian dros ben mewn offerynnau risg isel tymor byr, gan rhoi blirhanaethau I ddiogelwch a hylifes dros adenillion. Mae'r holl weithgaredd rheoli trysorlus yn cydymffurfio â sefynnau busoddi penodol ac ar y ffin weithredol ar gyfer dyled allanol. Mae werth nodi bod yna benthyca byr dymor o 5 miliwn sydd yn dledus y chwarter 2, wrth i'r awdurdod ail sythuro ei llyfr benthyca o'r tymor byr i'r hir dymor, a bydd y lefel benthyca a busodion yn disgyn dros y chwarter nesaf. Felly symud i'r argymhelliad gyfynir I aelodau nodi'r gweithgareddau rheoli trysorlus a danysyddion darbodus ar gyfer y chwarter cyntaf flwyddyn yma. Diolch yn fawr. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Elgan. And any questions regarding that? Gwynfor, is that a hand up? No? Okay.
Sorry, it was a neighbour passing.
All right. Okay. I've got David with his hand up first. Thank you.
Thanks, Chair. Na I siarad yn Gymraeg hefyd gan bael gan wedi cyflwyno yn Gymraeg. Na I drio wneud yn ddistaw, achos dwi'n mewn McDonald's efo gyfeithiau gerddoriaeth yn y gefndir. Elgan wedi cyfeirio chi at y paragraff pwysica, sef paragraff 5, lle yn ystod y chwarter cyntaf eleni mae'r sefyllfa dan reolaeth, mae'r terfynau buddsoddi a benthyca o fewn I lle nathoch chi osod fel polisi ar ddechrau'r flwyddyn, wedyn does na ddim issues I adrodd, mae'n gynnar yn y flwyddyn, ac ar hyn o bryd does gennym ni'm issues I fynd I chwilio am fwy o fenthyca ac yn y blaen, wedyn mi ddaw hynny eto, ac diolch I Elgan am gadw'r sefyllfa dan reolaeth.
Yes, thank you for that, David, and thank you for the reassurance that it's given us regarding that. So, are there anybody with their hands up? Any questions? Nobody wanting to ask a question on Treasury Management? No. Okay, all right then. If there's no questions, I'll move on. Moving on now to the certification on compliance with LGM 2009 performance assessment requirements 25-26 for information. Who have we got with giving that?
Board Chair, it's myself, please.
Okay, Ant, carry on.
Good morning, everyone. The purpose of this report is to confirm to the Audit Committee the outcome of the external audit of North Wales Fire and Rescue Authority's 2025 to 2026 improvement measures. And this is required by the Local Government Wales measure 2009, referred to as the measure. So under the measure, the authority is required to publish an annual improvement plan as soon as reasonably practicable after the start of the financial year. The improvement measures are subject to audit by Audit Wales, who are required to report on whether the authority has discharged its responsibilities under section 17 and 19 of the measure. The measure requires the authority to make arrangements to secure continuous improvement in the exercise of its functions, make arrangements to secure achievement of its improvement objectives, and to make arrangements to exercise its functions so that any performance standard specified by the Welsh Minister is met. The authority's Community Risk Management Implementation Plan for 25-26 sets out the authority's objectives, and these were approved by members at your meeting of the 28th of April this year. It now has been subject to audit review by Audit Wales, and who are required to confirm whether the authority has discharged its responsibilities. The audit letter is set out as an Appendix 1 to this paper, and it confirms that Audit Wales has concluded its work and is satisfied that the authority has discharged its responsibilities. So the recommendation is that members are asked to note the audit letter, which confirms that the authority has discharged its responsibilities under the Local Government Wales Measure 2009. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you for that, Ant. Okay, do we have any questions regarding this item? No, everybody must be happy with that. I can't see any hands up. Sorry, Chief, you've got your hand up. And I'll refer to Matt. Thank you.
I just wanted to say how pleased we are to receive this, because as members know, we moved from our existing plan to a community risk management plan. And that brings us in line with the other fire and rescue services in the UK. And also it's the direction that Welsh Government wants us to go in. But it was a risk because we needed to make sure that not only was it a community risk management plan, but it also encompasses all our other legal duties here in Wales. So receiving this confirmation is something that I'm very pleased that we're able to present to members.
Yeah, absolutely. Matt, you've got your hand up next.
Thank you, Chair. So whilst all of the reports so far have been for information only, item 10 will require a resolution, and it may be that it's conventional when noting reports to take a show of hands. Ultimately, okay. Chair, that's your discretion as the chair. Mm-hmm. They aren't for decision aside from item 10. I haven't attended many of these audit committees, so I don't know typically what the convention is around noting reports. But for avoidance of any doubt, it may be sensible to take a show of hands to note the contents. However, no decisions as yet on the reports.
No. Okay. Well, from this item, we'll take a show of hands. Thank you for that, Matt. Okay, Jeff, you've got your hand up. Are we still asking questions, or are we just going to note it? Right. Okay. All in favour of noting this? Put your hand up. Brilliant. Thank you for that. Okay. All right. Moving on with item number 9, the Economic Crime and Corporate Transparency Act 2023 for information again, and that's from Elgin.
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, it's a bit of a mouthful, isn't it? So the purpose of the report today is to provide assurance that to the Audit Committee that the service is complying with the new legislation. So the Economic Crime and Corporate Transparency Act 2023 has been updated to add in there where it's now an offence where large organisations can be held criminally liable if they fail to prevent fraud committed by employees or persons associated with the organisation. So a large organisation is one over 250 employees or a turnover exceeding 36 million or 80 million in assets, and therefore the service meets the threshold and falls within scope of the legislation. As part of preparing for the legislation, we've reviewed our procedures and policies in place to prevent fraud. We've also updated the financial regulations, which is the next item on the agenda. The risk register has been updated. We've also reviewed our procurement controls, so we've strengthened those through the All Wales Fire and Rescue Service procurement strategy and the contract procedure rules that were approved back in March 2025. And we are also sort of upskilling staff as well. I'm doing the fraud awareness training session, so our banking partners are providing that to us. And we've also signed up for the CIPFA e-learning modules that all finance and procurement staff will be completed, and it will be optional for other staff as well. So it's here for noting the legislation and the work and the mitigation that's gone in place. Diolch.
Okay, thank you for that. Are there any questions or comments regarding that? Okay, well, I will ask the question then. Looking at the similar authorities from elsewhere, have any fire authorities fallen foul of this, or any democratic processes being followed through where it involves councillors?
In terms of
the
legislation, I'm not aware that the legislation went live as of the 1st of September, so I'm not aware of it or anything since then. Okay,
so there are no concerns. Okay, if we adopt that then, no other questions or hands up. All right, all in favour of adopting that for information? That's great, thank you for that. Okay, all right, thank you for that, Elgin. I think you're on the next report as well, updating of financial regulations.
Diolch, Chair, I'm happy to pick that up.
Okay, Helen.
And actually it leads very nicely on from the previous item, and this is on the agenda today to present to members of the Audit Committee the updated draft of the financial regulations. It's for consideration and endorsement because it is actually a document that will need to proceed to the full fire authority. The current version of the financial regulations were approved in March 2022, and it's good practice in any event to review them and update. But what we need to do also is recognise that there are new legislative requirements, including the Economic Crime Act, updated procedure rules that Elgan's also spoken about, including the procurement strategy and also the contract procedure rules, and also some technical accounting adjustments such as IFRS 16. So the overall purpose of the financial regulations is to provide a clear framework for the authority and for the service that covers the financial management. The regulations that are presented today have been streamlined, though you'll appreciate they are still quite a detailed document and quite meaty. But the aim of them is to provide those clear roles and responsibilities. And that's very much confirming about the responsibilities of the fire authority, which matters are reserved for the authority and which matters are delegated to the service, and what are the responsibilities of the statutory 151 officer. A key control is the separation of duties, and the financial regs aim to produce that, ensuring that the risk of fraud is minimised by effectively having that clear separation in place. A really good example of that will be setting up a new supplier and processing an invoice. Within the financial regs, there's also a clear delegation and authorisation limits, and good financial management is cascaded through the organisation. It doesn't just sit with finance, but it's important that everybody recognises across the organisation their role, and also that the financial aspects of our organisation are managed within appropriate limits. So it's absolutely appropriate to delegate, but we do so at an appropriate level. We make a number of decisions, and it's also important that those financial assessment of those decisions takes place. So proper controls exist to ensure that we understand the financial impact of those decisions, they're fully worked through, and that where appropriate, they're reported to yourselves either via the fire authority or through the audit committee. As with all public sector bodies and private companies, we are required to retain our documents. Standardly, we retain financial documents for 6 years, but there are certain documents that we have to hold for much longer. And then similarly, in addition, the role of internal and external auditors. They aren't part of the management structure, but they have a critical role to play in terms of assessing the internal controls. I think you'll agree that it's evident from the regulations that they are comprehensive and they cover the life cycle from forward planning of the organisation. So not just looking in the 1 year, but looking through that medium term, through to the approval of the capital and revenue budgets, and also the budgetary control and reporting through to the preparation of the accounts. The regulations also cover off specific elements of expenditure, including staffing, non-paid procurement, banking, treasury management and cash management. So they are really comprehensive and a very detailed document. This is a streamlined version, it is updated. I'm happy to take any questions that members may have on the financial regulations. Thank you.
Thank you for Helen for that. Any questions? Anybody with their hands up? Yes, David.
Thanks, Chair. Not a question, really, just a thanks to the officers, particularly Elgan and Helen as well, for going through this. It's quite a heavy document to update, and obviously there's been a lot of work gone into doing this, and it's been done on a timely fashion as well, because it was due for updating this year, and it's been done. From my memories in local governments, these things probably lag a bit and take a bit longer to update, but it's yeah, some stuff in there. There's the tightening up on things like fraud and money laundering and banking and leases, and there's a capitalisation threshold that's increased from 5 to 10,000, but I think that's in common with most of your local authorities, and there's nothing, having read through it, there's nothing there which I jumped sideways about. It's basically bringing things up to date, so I would support the recommendation to approve these, Chair.
Okay, thank you for that. Are there anybody else with any comments, questions, concerns? No, I can't see anybody's hands up, so we'll go to the recommendation that we approve this. Okay, all in favour? Thank you. Thank you. All the hands are up. Great. Thank you, Helen. And yes, thank you to the rest of the team that have followed through on this. Okay, right. Moving on to the next item, we've got item 11, Audit Wales, putting out our future fires report for endorsement. So do we have anybody from Audit Wales, or who's leading on this?
I'm happy to talk to the report, Chair, and then if there's any officers that want to add to it. I think the covering paper does a really good job of summarising the report and bringing it to your attention. I think in our audit snapshot, the executive summary at the start of the report, I think we highlight that the authority has a good basic approach to targeting its fire prevention, and it's got some areas of really promising practice that are sort of quite notable and stand out. But I think it's just sort of tightening up those arrangements to target its resources and focus them where they're most needed. Probably as we went through the detail, and in the detailed report, there's some examples where maybe when people are assessed in different ways, for example, although the person might be of a similar risk profile, how the authority goes about its prevention activity differs slightly, and I think just tightening up on those arrangements are what we're asking the authority to do and to look at and to consider in our report, and then with the challenges of resources, really knowing which of its prevention activities really adding that value. So when difficult decisions need to get when there comes a time when difficult decisions need to be made, that the authority is really clear about which of its activities is really providing that value. So we've made two recommendations. Recommendation one is around the authority are reviewing how it identifies people of higher risk of fire. So just to tighten up on making sure that it's recognising and identifying the people who are at highest risk, be able to target their resources effectively. And then the second recommendation is that we're asking the authority, we recommend the authority strengthen of the value added from its prevention activity. So really understanding the link between the activity then and the future outcome. I know we've seen a draft of the management response to these recommendations, which we've noted and can see they've been thoroughly considered, and we've had a sort of detailed response to what management are proposing. I couldn't see those on the papers, but I don't know if management want to add to the report and the plans to address these.
Thank you for that, Carwyn. Okay, do we have an officer with the response? Is it Paul that's leading on that?
Diolch, Chair. Bore da pawb. Good morning, everybody. My name's Paul Kay. I'm the head of fire safety and deputising for Justin this morning. In relation to the cover paper, I would just like to recommend and thank Audit Wales for their constructive engagement with our staff throughout the review process. We welcome the report's findings, which acknowledge the areas of good practice which have been mentioned by Carwyn, and identify opportunities for improvement. We are committed to continue the work to address those two formal recommendations, and we'll develop a targeted improvement plan to support this. The recommendations within the cover paper highlight three areas, and certainly it's to note the findings of those recommendations, endorse development of that targeted improvement plan, and provide a progress report to the Fire Authority in Q1 of 26-27. And I'm very happy to take any questions in and around the report.
Thank you for that, Paul. It's quite a comprehensive report, and the management response to that is indeed in action, in progress. I'd just like to ask an open question, really, and it's to both Audit Wales and ourselves, and it's regarding the amount of data we have to crunch. We use NHS data, we use referral data, and it's about targeting our resources, as it says. What use of artificial intelligence tools are we going to be using in the future? And are we having any emerging trends coming from this where we have to use technology more? And are there any people in the UK doing this at the moment so we can target people?
Diolch, Chair. I can pick this up. Funnily enough, we were speaking with our team from corporate planning last week. Whilst AI is that burgeoning and emerging technology platform that we can use, I think it's vitally important that we first engage with our partners across North Wales to further broaden our understanding of where the vulnerability and risk is. I'm really pleased that we can access Exeter data, which targets people over the age of 65, but highly recognise the importance of further identifying risk through housing, social care, and further risks that are proposed. One of the areas that we do need to be really cognizant of, I think, as we move forward, is that emerging technologies, and being highly recognising that lithium-ion batteries, solar panels, and other areas that could pose risk to our communities. We are aware of it, we know where they are, and we provide the appropriate support.
Thank you for that. And if Audit Wales can respond, are there any tools or any emerging technologies that we could probably use to tackle this?
I don't think we've seen anything successfully implemented yet, but I think what we're hearing across the board, across different sectors, is probably in that space that the space we just heard from officers. It's the sort of the technology's becoming is there for people to think about how they can implement it, but implementing it safely as well. And I think it can only follow sort of instructions and being really clear on your understanding and how you want that technology to work. So developing the understanding, like Paul mentioned, I think is the key first step because if you're going to use that technology, you've got to be really you've got to give it a really clear understanding of its task. So knowing that yourselves is the important first step.
Okay, thank you for that, Carwyn. Are there any more questions or comments regarding the Audit Wales report, or indeed our actions taken so far? No, I can't see any hands up or anybody wanting to comment. Okay, thank you very much for attending, Carwyn, and thank you, Paul, for your reflections on the report, and hopefully that will get underway. Are there any timelines? When is this due for coming back to us?
We will provide an update, Chair, Q1 of the 26-27 financial year, and we will certainly look to present that improvement plan as well.
Okay, thank you for that, Paul. Okay, so if there are no more questions, I will take it for approval. So everybody wanting to approve this? Okay. Okay, thank you. No abstentions? No. Okay, well, thank you very much for attending this morning once again, and hopefully we'll hear from you soon. Thank you for that. Okay, moving on, we're now going into part 2. So can I have an approval that we go into part 2? Okay.
So, Chair,
Oh, sorry.
Sorry, Chair. Sorry to interject. So there'll need to be a mover to move into part 2 and a seconder, and then a vote taken on that.
Okay, can I have a mover that we go into part 2? Yes, Anne, you've got your hand up. Thank you very much. And a seconder? Do we go to part 2? Thank you, John Brimore Hughes. Thank you. All in favour? Thank you for that. Okay, Steve will now cut the webcast.